a Chad. 1. I'm a Chad. 2. I'm a Chad. 3. That's right. You heard me. 'Tis the season. It's not William season. It's never been William season. It's not Fuegolian season. I don't think it's ever been Fuegolian season. It's not Nozel season. I'll say he's probably had a season, maybe 2, but it's not Nozel season. It is not Mario Leona season. It's not Magna season yet. It's not Asta season. It's Yami season, bitches.
I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Pull up, say what's the deal, bruh? See how I lose my cool any second if they don't hear us. Many people will fear us. Say when you look in the mirror, don't you compare us to anything they get embarrassed. Ha, ha, woo. So many people be talking like they want the polish or something. I noticed that all of you polish and all of you people get punished. It's hard to keep food on your stomach. To all of the hustle keep running. That's hard to stay humble with nothing. We're off of the jungle, we're bugging. So let me come down all of a sudden. I told you that we keep it buzzing. Ha, woo. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Jack OATz the GOAT. You either know or you don't. Before I get started, I just wanted to give a special thank you, shout out to Broku. Since we did our collab, I'm up 103 subscribers, and so thank you, Broku. I mean, had you not reached out and let me hop on your channel, probably would still be at like 23 or something like that. So thank you. Like I said, I always have appreciated your stance on Black Clover and all that stuff, and you're the GOAT. You're the GOAT. But yeah, thank you, and then thank you for everyone who did subscribe coming off of that, or even if you just found me without that video. Thanks for subscribing. It means a lot, because I do have a passion for manga and other anime, and I know this channel is primarily Black Clover right now, but when I get the time, I will be doing My Hero Academia. I'll be doing more Boruto stuff, since I have missed a few chapters, which means I've missed like volumes and volumes of shit, but I'll be hopping back on Boruto pretty soon, so it won't just be Black Clover, so don't get like upset if I'm covering something else, but I do have a real passion for anime and manga, so thank you guys for rocking with me. Let's get into the chapter review, because this chapter of Black Clover was pretty wild. It starts off with Finral sweating and shaking because he wants to go get other captains to help Yami in his fight against Dante. But Dante's powered up to 80%, and he knows that if he makes any type of movement, he's most likely dead instantly. And he's not wrong. Now, this is probably one of the only problems I had with this chapter of Black Clover, was that Finral is acting way too late. Finral is, let me pull it up. He says, we were scouting for our invasion of the Spade Kingdom, but then how did things end up like this? So they were already scouting the Spade, and when he brought Yami from the captain's meeting and saw that someone from the Spade had slumped everyone, like no one was okay by the time they got there. Asta had just got slumped. He was in a crater. wasn't even conscious by the time Yami got there. Gauche is on his deathbed. Gray and Vanessa are pretty much rendered useless. Henry's nowhere to be found. Henry is dead. I'll say it again. Henry is dead. Come back to this. Come back to this like next week or in 2 weeks. Okay? Henry's dead. But everyone is not in the capacity to fight. So when him and Yami came, there was definitely enough time for Finral to just hop back in. I mean, they had just come from the meeting. All the captains were right there. And then have the captains come aid Yami, but now it's too late and he can't move because he will be killed. Dante's too much of a problem now. So I had a huge problem with that. And, you know, maybe it's not even fair to blame it on the chapter. It's just something Finral completely dropped the ball. And I wasn't happy about it when he didn't do it in the first place. I think I had even mentioned it. But anyway, aside from Finral dropping the ball completely, and I'm not slandering Finral, but honestly, that's what he should have done. Outside of that, we see the new Dante, his 80% form. Now, I'm seeing a lot of stuff being said about, you know, Dante's new form, and just putting my opinion out there. I'm not saying, like, you know, this is what you have to go with, of course. These are all just my opinions. And, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. So let me preface this by saying, like I said in previous other videos, I really don't care for Dante as a character, and I didn't even like his design coming in. So, you know, I mean, I like. Okay, it's weird to say I like the design. I just don't like it. It's not that it's drawn badly or it looks bad. It's just like I said, I don't care for Dante. I've said this verbatim. We could throw Dante away tomorrow, and I wouldn't care at all. I mean, maybe you can attribute that to him being like an actually good villain, or like a good at being a bad guy. But you know, I really don't care either which way. I don't care for the you know, if I had to point out something aesthetically, I don't care that half of his face is black and he has the streak coming down. It just looks really weird to me, and it doesn't come off as menacing like I would expect it to. It, you know, it just looks like he is more powerful though. That's what it looks like. But like I said, it doesn't mean the drawing's bad. Like, I do like the art. I just, like I said, I never really cared for Dante's design to begin with. I always thought the crown was kind of overdone. He reminds me of, I think it was William C. Cucumber in SpongeBob. That thing just stays on his head because it's probably attached to his skull. Or he uses gravity magic to keep it on. I don't know how he's been keeping that thing on this whole fight. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. But I do love the 4-wing look. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's cool. And I like the symbols that he's got. Those symbols, by the way, are just the symbols for center of gravity. I mean, I don't think it's anything more or anything less than that. That's exactly what it is. If you want to look that up on Google, that's exactly what you're gonna get. Now, I know this wasn't the first time we've seen it. This is the first time I actually took note of it, of Dante's grimoire. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it because that's going to lead into some other stuff. But I want to get done reviewing this chapter in my own opinion. Okay, so he hits 80%, and then Yami spits out the cigarette. So now we know he's going to get serious. And then Dante, you know, being a villain, has to, you know, over-explain what's going on. I don't think we needed this explanation, but I'm glad it's there just in case people really didn't know what was going on, right? So, and it's a nice diagram to just kind of clarify some things. So it's good. He says, we share power with devils in the underworld. So it has the devil hosts in this world, and then it has the devil in the blackness in the underworld. And there's a line between them, right? This is where the power is being siphoned and all that good stuff, right? And he says, since these exchanges take place between two worlds, this one and the underworld, unless we open the door to the underworld, we aren't able to access 100% of our power. So, you know, that just of course means 80% is probably the limit that they can hit. You know, until we see something higher than that, it's probably safest to say 80% is 100% until that gateway is unlocked. There's something in that that we'll get into at the end of this as well. But then he also goes on to say, although I'm not so sure about that devil host over there, and he's talking about Asta. And I'm also seeing this online as well, where people believe that, okay, if they open the door to the underworld, Asta's going to get this boost and whatnot. And that's just not the case, because his devil is here and now. It's just in his grimoire. It's not in the underworld. It's in his actual grimoire. So it's honestly, it seems just more about Asta's body adjusting to it and to see how far the devil can push, and kind of break Asta down to take over. Because remember, in his fight against Ladros, he was almost in a position to take over, but Asta still had enough willpower to deny that. And I think if he didn't, the devil could have manifested right then and there, but he wasn't able to, because Asta still had the wherewithal to deny him all of that. So aside from that, we see Dante, which this is probably like one of my favorite panels of Dante. He looks menacing in this. Even though I did rag on like the half black look with the streaks, I like the he's got sharp teeth, and you can see just like that demented look in his eyes as he's holding this new magic that we see, and it's the gravity magic, gravity singularity. Now this turns out to be some absolute crazy fuck shittery. It's insane. And he says, as long as you're alive, we'll have what we need. I think I'll tear off a leg or two at least. And this is another thing that I see online about, people saying, yeah, Yami did well in this fight, but he's gonna die next year. Like, no, Yami's not gonna die at all. They can't afford to kill Yami, because he is the key to their plan. Like, they're not gonna kill him. Will he lose? It's totally possible, but it's kind of weird to see people saying like, Yami's gonna die against Dante. That's not the plan. However, it could be possible, because we were introduced to the vice captain, who looks like has shadow magic, which could be linked to dark magic and could probably be used in the same way, but they're not completely aware of this person. So could lead to maybe Yami dying later. I don't know. But Yami definitely isn't going to die now. I don't know why people are saying that at all. So moving on. Dante throws the singularity at Yami. Yami dodges it. And what's crazy is that it looks like it gets stronger as it keeps going, because the crater starts out like as a trench, and then it hits the mountain. It's just vastly wider, and then leaves just a flat out hole in the mountain, where it does look like it gets smaller, so it looks like it does have a certain range before it dissipates, anyway, it's a really potent attack. We can see that, and it's very fast. So Yami does what Yami does, which is a dark cloaked dimension slash, which is pretty much just negates any defense that you could possibly have, because it cuts through literal dimensions. However, there is a huge concentration of gravity focused around Dante, because he is holding another singularity. So what happens is this line, this stroke of a darker dimension, a dark cloak. Dude, these spells, they're so long. Just like call it the dark slash or something. I don't know. But the dark cloak dimension slash, instead of being a straight line, comes out curved and completely misses Dante. And this, of course, like I said, is because the gravity is so strong that it's warping the path of his attack. So Yami says exactly that. He says he actually warped my dimension's slash attack. And he says if I hit him with Black Moon, they might cancel each other out. And he's talking about hitting the singularity with Black Moon. But then he also goes on to say that he can't afford to lose his Black Moon. Now, this indicates that, number one, these black moons, black holes, and all that stuff takes a lot of mana to pull off. And not only that, he's been holding this Black Moon up ever since he got to the battlefield, and he absolutely needs it so he can avoid Dante just smashing him to the ground. So Yami says, I'll just have to keep evading by using his mana zone that's condensed and keeping his senses sharp. His sense is sharp. Holy shit, you guys. So then his game plan is like, all right, I'm just going to get right up in his face. Which seems like a good idea, but then he kind of backs up. He's like, hold up. That's what I've been doing. I've been cutting him this entire time. Nothing's working because he keeps regenerating. And so he keeps strategizing, which is good. And I love this about Yami. He's not going to keep doing something over and over and over. And I hate to use this as an example because it just gives like freaking Naruto haters like fuel. But just as an example, it's not like where, you know, Naruto sometimes does spam the Shadow Clone. Although, and guys, I know there's a lot of Naruto fans here. I'm not slandering it. Naruto is my favorite series, or one of. But the thing is like, you know, yes, he does apply the Shadow Clones differently. It's the application that's different. But he will spam the same technique mostly. Where Yami, he stops. And oh man, I wish I didn't do that because now you guys are pissed. All right, look, you guys understand what I'm saying, right? I'm not slandering anything. I'm just giving an example. Chill. All right, so he's really strategizing, and he's not going to waste his time, energy, and mana on attacks that aren't going to work at all, which is a very good idea. You want to do only things that'll work. So he stops and he's like, all right, I'm going to need something more straightforward, really. And he's saying, I need something with more power, something faster and tougher. That'll go pretty much straight through the singularity or at the singularity. Where Dante throws another singularity where Yami gets grazed by it, and then above him, a huge giant piece of rock / mountain thing comes crashing down on him, and Dante is just like floating there like a complete badass. Like, yeah, I don't even gotta move. You know what I mean? I don't even gotta move. I know you dead. No, just kidding. But he's like, you know, you were terrific fun, Yami, and everyone's all worried, but Yami comes out of the smoke and mist with his black moon above him and those bright eyes that may indicate that he's not fully human, by the way. Come on, guys. And he says what Yami says. Right here, right now, I'm gonna surpass my limits. Now, we know anytime a character says this, especially a Black Bull, like some shit's about to happen. But every time Yami said it, some shit has gone down. And my God, did some shit go down, because Yami decides to do a dark magic sudden death. And this, or sudden death thrust. Oh, no, in this translation it's called a death thrust, not sudden death. Either one works, whatever you want. It looks more like a death thrust to me. So, what I particularly liked about this, not the fact that Dante just got blown into smithereens, it's the fact that he had no idea what the result was going to be. He knew it was going to be something along the lines of like a powerful thrust, but he's like, I was going for a thrust, but it ended up as a cannon, you know, like fucking oops, right? So that was the end of the chapter where you just have Dante. He's just head, shoulders, knees, and toes right now. What I like about this is it's just that we finally see Yami really pushing his limits in a battle, because up until now we haven't really seen the guy struggle. And you know, I'd say the closest to that was against Patri, but he just kind of gave up. And I've honestly attributed. I know I said it right. Freaking gangsta. All right. So I attributed him just like giving up with him like sensing the ki of the other captains coming, which would be really strong ki. And I think he was like, okay, like I can probably sit back and let them handle it. So I've always kind of attributed that to that particular battle. But we're actually seeing him try. He's all bloodied up and everything. And what I particularly like about this chapter, as far as Yami goes, is not exactly the sudden death thrust or whatever you want to call it. It's the fact that he had the wherewithal to actually point out the fact that he's aware of his brigade members watching this battle, and he's got to set the example and set the bar for them. He can't just lay down and die. He can't just get KO'd and taken away. Or else what kind of captain, what kind of example would he be setting? So the fact that he's able to keep us cool in this caliber of a battle says so much about Yami. And the fact that he even cares that, they're watching and what they think says a lot about him as a person. And like I said already, this is why I stand Yami so hard. He's probably my all-time favorite character at this point. He has just been a solid dude in and out. Now, let's go back into some of the points that were brought up this chapter, okay? So the first one I wanted to bring up is what I said before, is that this is not the first time it's been shown. It's the first time I've actually noted it because it's up close, is Dante's grimoire. Now, in some previous chapters, we see Dante regenerating the slashes from Yami, and a lot of us speculated that it's probably flesh magic because all the Spade Knights, minus Garderoy and Foyal, have been related to the body. Their magic pertains to the body. So it wasn't just an ass pull for the fandom to think, oh, that's flesh magic. However, looking at his grimoire, it doesn't tell us that it would be flesh magic, and I'm zooming in on it, and I really don't know what to make of it, to be honest. I'm not, like I said, I'm not getting flesh from it, and he hasn't actually labeled this magic yet, which I'm assuming is because Tabata is waiting on a bigger reveal, which I will get into. I'll probably just go right into it. So we see that he's regenerating these cuts, and these wounds that he's obtaining from Yami. Now, we see him get blown to head, shoulders, knees, and toes at the end of this chapter. My concern is that the battle's definitely not done. Oh, and before I go any further, I'm seeing this online, and I get the confusion. And I'm not saying I have the full-on answer, but this is what makes sense to me, okay? People are saying if anything, maybe Dante will regenerate and the devil's dead, and that wouldn't be the case really, because Dante said flat out the devil's not even here with us really. He's in the underworld, and he's siphoning the power from the underworld, from the actual demon, to himself. So the devil would be completely fine in this situation. If anything, maybe Dante would be dead. I don't think he's going to die though, because here's what I think is going to happen. I'm really just sensing this okay, we have a head, 2 arms, 2 legs. If he regenerates, we're going to get 5 Dantes wreaking havoc on the field, and I don't know. I think that's why he hasn't labeled his magic yet, or why Tabata hasn't labeled his magic. And I don't know. Because, okay, if I had to guess what this grimoire is trying to tell us, it's maybe DNA code, to where he can restructure his DNA. I don't know. I would not be surprised if that was the case. Because then it would still pertain to his body, but then it's also broken. It would give way to something like 5 Dantes, being able to come out and just completely wreck everything in sight. I'd be super afraid if that happened, because Yami's not coming out of that alive. There's no one there on that field that can help Yami at any capacity to come out of that alive either. Or, well, not alive, but they're not going to be able to stop him from getting taken away, much less be able to defend themselves. There's nothing Asta can do at all. He's been laying down for the past 4 or 5 chapters. He's done. Finral already counted himself out. He can't even go get other people. Vanessa is completely tapped out. Gauche is still not completely recovered. And Gray is not a fighter. So, I mean, worst case scenario, if he does split it into 5 Dantes, he could really be taking Yami, Vanessa, and Gray, which would be so much trouble. And wow, what a thing for Asa to go through if that does happen. That's what I'm thinking, and that's what I think the Grimoire represents. And the reason why I point the Grimoire is just because, like, it's obvious when we see Vonica, that's obviously blood splatter. And then when we see Xenon's, I forget, is it Xeno or Xenon? I don't know. That's what happens when you read unofficials and officials, and they just blend together. We see it's clearly bones on his grimoire. So this, like I said, if I had to give it a name, it just says something about DNA to me. Also, before I get into, no, this will go into the next point. Okay, so the next point here is the devil hosts versus the devil and their relationship, right? So, like I said, he does the aside for Asta for a reason, and it's because Asta is not limited like they are, and that's for the very reason that his devil is not restrained to the underworld. He's actually here inside the grimoire, and he just doesn't know or care as to why that demon is like it is. First point, when he explains this, he's like, this is the reason, once we open the door, we're going to be able to access 100% of the power. So that says that they are under the impression that once they open the doors, these high-ranking demons are just going to, let us have, our fun. They're going to sit inside our bodies and just, like, do what we do, and, because we're special. Which is not the case. So I think in the long run, when and if this whole clip-off things happens, it's going to be a huge rude awakening for Vonica, Xenon, and Vonica, because apparently they think their devil's just going to let them use their power, and that's not going to be the case. And they're definitely just being used at this point. Now, with all of this happening, right, we see Dante go 80%. I'm forgetting off the top of my head the percentage we saw Vonica go, but I want to say it was 70%, if not 80 as well. I want to say 70. But something happened that was different, I think we all know, which means that there are 4 types of possessions in this series right now. And that is what we're seeing with Dante and Xena, where they're just using the devil's power. Then we saw what Zagra did to one of the nobles before he trapped the first Wizard King, Lumiere. And then Asta's devil inside of his grimoire, not possessing him or anything, possessing the grimoire. And then what we see with Vonica. Now, Vonica goes 70%, and we see Magicula is able to come out and talk on his or her own accord. And the fact that it doesn't happen with Dante says that there's something different about Vonica's relationship with Magicula. And what that is, I'm not sure. But it could have something to do with the eye patch. What that eye patch would do, I'm not sure. Maybe it holds the essence to some extent of Magicula. Maybe like a cursed eye patch or something like that. So that Magicula can somewhat take form in the actual realm, which would be useful for their agenda, of course. But maybe I just wanted to point it out because I don't really have the answer. But as the series stands right now, we have 4 different types of devil possessions. Then something my boy Quan pointed out on his review, actually. And shout out to Quan, because I definitely missed this on my first few reads. On page 11, I want to say, hold on. Page 11, it was page 12. Page 12, Dante loses those 2 front horns. He doesn't have them anymore. So I guess we are left wondering, like, is this due to an editorial mistake, an overlook? Or is there something to this? But in the very next page, he has his horns back. So I'm forced to believe that it has something to do with maybe just an editorial oversight. Because I'm not really seeing anything that would cause Dante to not have his horns. Or it could be, or actually, okay, now that I'm looking at it, it could be the fact that he might have been comfortable in the fact that he got Yami under that rock. And then he sees Yami and he gets his horns back on the very next page. So it could be just that maybe he was powering down. Because his teeth are also not sharp in that panel. So I think that was probably the case. He was just powering down, thinking that the fight was over. But, he gains that spark back because Yami's still standing. So maybe that was it. Who knows? That was something that Quan noticed, and I was just like, oh, damn, he's right. But overall, this chapter was fire. I mean, Tabata just puts out bangers every week. And I don't know, as a community, we got to figure out a way to thank this dude. Art's always on point. This dude has literally said he's like passed out during work. I believe he's had a death in his family, and he's been sick. Putting out this quality content every week with those variables in mind is nothing short of amazing. So I don't know, we should definitely find a way to thank this dude. But yeah, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section below, what you think about anything I said or your own thoughts on the chapter, and also anything you want me to go over in future videos. Again, shout out to Broku, and shout out to the 103 people that have followed me over the past week. Without you guys, I would be talking to myself. And if you want, go follow me on Twitter. I'm pretty active there. Yeah, that's about all I got, you guys. So, like I said, put your thoughts below. Follow me on Twitter. It's been Jack OATz to go. You either know or you don't. Don't forget, Tommy.